Hello everyone, my name is Metallic Minty Pony and I'm back with another partisode. That's what I'm gonna say now. Partisode and hegitate. Many words were added to the dictionary in this reading. Welcome back to my reading of My Little Mommies by 3 Power. This is part 4, I believe. Part 4. I'm getting kind of messed up because last time I tried to record this, I was interrupted by the phone, the birds deciding they'd have a squawking fight right next to my head, and so many background noises and messed up words, and I'm hoping I'll do better this time, but I wanted to talk for a sec before I started reading. If you noticed, I was playing around with those titles a bit. I like messing with the titles. That's one of the things I like to do in these videos, is mess around with the different animations on the titles. I also found one called Chiller, which means that I have got to read a grimdark fanfiction, because it looked all spooky, and that would be the perfect occasion, just using the Chiller text, the Chiller font, and everything to make it all spooky. I don't know what I would do if I came across a fanfiction without a cover art, because I would have no picture to put in the background for the titles, and then you'd just be staring at a black screen, and no one likes that. My problem is that I am a wuss, big wuss, and oh come on, people are not coming home while I'm in the middle of my reading, am I? I'm gonna get as much done as I can and hope that I can finish this bit before people walk in. We ended at a cutscene. Somehow, between the 6 of them, they were able to stop the foals crying, and the mansion was once again relatively quiet. Alright, the foals are happy, Applejack said, adjusting the one she was holding over her own shoulder. So what now? We should probably find a place for them to sleep tonight, Twilight suggested. It's too dangerous for us to head out now. I might be able to use my magic to modify a bed into a crib. No, Fluttershy objected in a steady, firm voice. We need to get out of here as soon as possible. What? Rarity asked, surprised. But the forest. Pinkie, how many bottles of formula do you have left? Fluttershy asked, turning her gaze to the pink pony. None, she answered. They were just for our emergencies, after all. And diapers? I have an unopened 4-pack in there, she said, glancing in her saddlebag. You see, the yellow Pegasus said, turning back to the others. We're already out of supplies, and that's not even our biggest problem right now. What do you mean? Rainbow asked, cocking an eyebrow. These are newborns, Fluttershy explained, holding the pink filly with her forelegs. Even if they weren't born in the traditional sense, they still need to be checked out by a doctor. Furthermore, formula is a good substitute for the time being, but newborns gain a lot of important antibodies from their mother's milk that protects them from all kinds of disease, and I'm sure this isn't news to anyone, but none of us are lactating. The rest of the group nodded, somewhat uncomfortably. Nope, Pinkie agreed. No, wait! She bent her head down and looked between her forelegs at her underbelly. She then lifted her head back up. Nope. Pinkie, you are best pony. Twilight, meanwhile, was stunned by the way Fluttershy suddenly took charge. But even if that's the case, Fluttershy, Twilight spluttered out anxiously, do you really think we should risk taking the babies out through the woods? No, Fluttershy answered as she glanced towards Rainbow Dash. I think we should call for help. Oh yeah, Rainbow exclaimed, throwing her hooves into the air as she hovered above. I zip back to Manhattan, find Spike, and contact the princess. She sends a few royal carriages, and we airlift the rest of you out here. I still think that's a good plan, Applejack nodded. The ponies looked towards Twilight. Well, I kinda get the feeling we should stay together, but... Twilight shook her head. Go for it, Rainbow. Alright, the rainbow-colored mare called out as she dashed through the hallway back to the entrance hall. Back in a flash. Just be careful, Twilight called after her. And bring me back a miniature statue of Harmony, Pinkie added. She looked around at the others. What? She asked. You gotta buy souvenirs when you go to Manhattan. Deciding to let it be, Twilight changed topics. In any case, we should probably get these fools into diapers before it's too. At that moment, she discovered the lavender foal she had been levitating had decided to relieve herself right then and there. Late, she finished grimly. Rarity's eyes promptly rolled back into her head as she collapsed on the floor. Oh, Rarity. Fluttershy shook her head, looking down at the unconscious mare. You can't go fainting over every little thing. She looked up to see the other three staring at her. What? She asked. Cutscene for a sec. I gotta go see what's wrong with the dog. I'm back. Too many interruptions. This is why I usually record at 4 in the morning. Anyway. Cutscene. Rainbow shut the mansion's heavy door behind her and then took off into the night sky. She looked around, quickly detecting the city's lights in the distance, and blasting off in the same direction at full speed. Rainbow loved her friends, but they were seriously slow. The only part she hated about spending time with them was how long it took to get anywhere whenever they were traveling. I'm sorry, tongue-tied. It had taken them something like 4 hours just to hike to the mansion, while at this speed, Rainbow was likely to make it back to the hotel in about 15 minutes. Still, it was good to have someone to talk to, something Rainbow was quickly discovering. When she was attempting to cheer up the foals with her friends, her mind was occupied. But now, flying alone through the moonlit sky, all the apprehension and negative thoughts came flowing back. This wasn't supposed to happen, she thought out loud. Rainbow was never the fluffiest cloud in the sky. Best analogy ever. But she knew what she wanted out of life. She knew what her dream was, to join the Wonderbolts, and she was pretty good at singling out both the things that could help her achieve that dream and the things that... I'm sorry, tongue-tied, let me start over that paragraph. Rainbow was never the fluffiest cloud in the sky, but she knew what she wanted out of life. She knew what her dream was, to join the Wonderbolts, and she was pretty good at singling out both the things that could help her achieve that dream and the things that could destroy it in an instant. Having a kid was one of the latter. In her adolescent years, Rainbow had seen a few of her classmates fall into that trap. She'd seen how the pregnancy had reduced their fly speed due to the increased rate and wind resistance. For some reason, they were more concerned with stuff like having to leave school. Who'd be upset about that? Seriously. But as a pony with speed as her goal, Rainbow knew that she couldn't carry any dead weight. To that extent, she had gone out of her way to avoid contact with members of the opposite sex during high school, a habit that quickly resulted in a number of false rumors being spread about her. Rumors that would probably start again threefold when people discovered she had managed to successfully reproduce with another mare. She sighed at the thought even as she continued to fly straight towards Manhattan, unaware of the dark shadow that had begun chasing after her from beneath the trees. Luckily, Rainbow had managed to skip the whole pregnancy side of things, leaving her as mobile as she'd ever been, but there was still the whole time side of things. She couldn't both go on tour with the Wonderbolts and take care of a foal, and even though Twilight would be there, she couldn't just dump all the responsibility onto her. Besides, Rainbow had read about what happened to foals of rock stars and such that were always on tour. They ended pretty messed up. Rainbow didn't want something like that happening to her girl. Sorry, the paragraph started out so good, and then I started messing up. I'm a terrible reader. Rainbow sighed again. Somehow, even though this had just happened to her today, even though she hadn't gone through 11 months of pregnancy, and even though it was brought about by some magic mirror, part of her had already accepted the little Technicolor squirt as her daughter. Rainbow smiled and gave a determined nod. "All right," she said. "Somehow we're going to make this whoa, 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 whoa!" She felt a strange change in the flow of air, and had turned her neck back just in time to see 3 sets of razor-sharp talons swoop down from behind her, shaving an inch of rainbow-colored hair from her mane. She twisted her body in midair to avoid the blow, and after nearly crashing into a tree as a result, managed to recover enough to hover above the forest. "Hey, what's the big idea?" she yelled back after the black shape that was now flying away from her. As if in response, it turned around and began diving towards Rainbow Dash. It was a huge bird, a raven, larger than Rainbow had ever seen, maybe half the size of the red dragon they had faced on top of Smoky Mountain one time. It was pitch black, which made it hard to make out against the night sky, but its eyes were blood red and focused directly on Rainbow Dash. "Gah!" Rainbow cried out as she flew down into the forest to dodge the second attack. The bird's 3 legs shattered the tops of the trees as it flew by overhead, sending out wooden splinters that rained down upon her head. Without a second thought, Rainbow burst out from below the trees and beat her wings furiously as she headed towards Manhattan like her life depended on it, since it probably did. She heard the monstrous bird caw behind her and dared to look. It was following her, but the distance between them was slowly becoming greater. "All right," she thought, "it can't match me at top speed." For a moment, Rainbow thought she was safe, until she noticed the forest below her had suddenly gotten a lot brighter, and her hindquarters had suddenly become inexplicably warm. Swerving on reflex, Rainbow gasped in horror as a jet of fire surged past her left flank, singeing her wing and lighting several treetops on fire. Before she could even process what had happened, she was forced to swerve again to avoid another blast of fire, this time from her right. Rainbow snapped her wings against the air as hard as she could in an effort to gain whatever distance she could from the creature still pursuing her. Still, she needed a plan, and quick. She was off course and couldn't keep up this pace forever. Suddenly, it came to her. Rainbow slowed her pace slightly. It was enough. She felt the rush of heat coming from behind her and quickly flapped her wings vertically. The jet of flame passed by underneath her, but Rainbow rode on the warm air currents emanating from the fire, using it to boost herself forwards and upwards into a steep climb. The bird began climbing after Rainbow, continuing to shoot fire after her. However, due to gravity and the increasing lack of oxygen to burn, the flames were no longer reaching Rainbow. When she was high enough, the Pegasus turned herself so she headed back towards Manhattan and went into a dive. The bird immediately dove after her with a screech. Rainbow felt the mounting air pressure against her forehooves as she continued to pound wings that were now screaming in pain. "Almost," she thought, gazing at the forest below through watery eyes. "Almost." And there it was. The sonic rain boom is best described as a rubber band formed from air pressure when a Pegasus moves at high speeds. If the Pegasus is unable to break through this rubber band, then they are simply sent flying by it. If a Pegasus does break through the band, it still snaps back, but with a wave of color based on the streak that any Pegasus moving at high speeds will emit. This streak is then sent out across the resulting sonic boom, forming, in Rainbow's case, a sonic rainbow. The long and short of it is, you don't want to be in the path of a sonic rain boom as it snaps back. The dark creature smacked into the incoming wall of air pressure and sound and was flung half a mile in the opposite direction, where it unceremoniously crashed into the forest, leveling a dozen trees in the process. As for Rainbow, she was now moving at sonic speeds, but no longer had the energy to flap her wings, so she simply glided towards Manhattan until momentum could carry her no further, and she grabbed hold of a passing tree. Well, I think I'll end at that. But like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more. I will see you later. My name is Metallic Minty Pony. Goodbye. People are home, so I have to stop recording now.